Yo, this is Jay from Straight Smoke Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to be doing another one of our 3 things that your favorite team needs to do this NFL offseason. So, in this video, we're going to be focusing mainly on the AFC South. So, if you're a fan of the Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, or the Houston Texans, this is the video for you. If you're not a fan of one of those teams, this is the last division that I haven't did. So go ahead and take a look at our recent videos. See if you can find your division, because I'm pretty sure I've did them all. First thing here we're going to talk about is Tennessee Titans. Previous record is 3-14. Available cap sitting at $50 million right now. That's the 11th most in the NFL. So number one thing they need to do is draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders first overall. My opinion is going to be Cam Ward. Cam Ward is probably going to give you the best chance to win now. Shedeur's good. He's NFL ready, in my opinion, as well. But I just feel like Cam Ward kind of fits a little bit more. I believe it was the head coach compared Cam Ward to Joe Burrow. So, the head coach was an OC in Cincinnati. So with that being said, I would believe that would be the guy that he would want, because he coached a guy like that a couple years ago when he was in Cincinnati. So you got to find your guy of the future. You got to find that to start your rebuild. That's important. Once you find that, it kind of makes it easier. And you got the first overall pick, so you got your choice at which one you want. I think it's important that you take a quarterback first overall, whether it's Ward or Sanders. I wouldn't be mad about either pick there. Number 2 is going to be add offensive playmakers. So you go ahead, you get your franchise guy, whether it's Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Next thing is getting him weapons. Nick Westbrook-Akine isn't going to get it done as a wide receiver 1. Sure, maybe as a 3, but you got to have some more weapons for him to throw to, whether it's tight ends, receivers. Sure, they got Calvin Ridley. Not sure if he's still there based on free agency, but he's probably a better 2 at this point in his career than he is a 1. So, just getting guys like that. They got Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. That's a good running backfield. I think that'll be good for them. They played good. At least Tony Pollard did. Improving the offensive line, nothing wrong with that. You want to protect your guy. But main thing is improving the offensive line, finding guys for him to throw to, whether it's a tight end or a receiver, for offensive playmakers. Number 3 is going to be find defensive playmakers. Outside of Jeffrey Simmons, the defense really isn't that good. When you got a young quarterback, it's really important to kind of give him a good defense, so that way he knows he doesn't have to go down and score every time, because you can rely on your defense to go out there and get a stop when it's needed. So between drafting a quarterback, starting the rebuild, trying to find some weapons for him to throw to, weapons that'll make his job a little bit easier, whether it's on the offensive line, giving him more time, or through the air, finding guys that'll catch the ball, and finding people on the defense to make that defense a little bit better. That's what the Tennessee Titans need to do. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts. Previous record was 8-9. Available cap space going into the offseason, $34 million. That's the 17th most. You could get a little bit more, because you do got to remember you got to sign all your draft picks. So that's going to eat into your cap space as well. But through restructuring, trades, cutting people like that, you could easily save some more money and have more money to work with. But the number one thing the Colts need to do is continue to believe in Anthony Richardson. I said the same thing about the Panthers with Bryce Young. You can't keep benching a guy because of their performance. Sometimes you just got to ride it out. That's how you ruin someone's confidence. So Anthony Richardson, we knew this when we drafted him. They need a little bit. He needs a little bit more time. He's a good quarterback. He's got good rushing ability. He's got a good strong arm. He can throw the ball far. The main thing was accuracy and his lack of playing experience. I believe he only had 1 season as a starter at Florida before being drafted. So giving him time, giving him reps, that's important to Anthony Richardson's development. Number 2 is add/improve depth on the offensive line. I believe their center, it's Ryan Kelly's his name, free agent. Bringing him back would be important. If you don't want to bring him back, that's fine. But you're going to have to replace him, and you're going to have to continue to add pieces, whether it's starters or depth pieces. You can never have too good of an offensive line. Giving Richardson more time with a good line is important. He's a good mobile quarterback. He can extend plays out of the pocket, but when you give him time in the pocket, that makes it a little bit easier. It also limits hits that he would take. And you also got Jonathan Taylor, so having a good offensive line is important there because it helps your run game. The number 3 thing that I believe the Colts should do is improve on the defensive side of the ball. Same thing. You got a young quarterback. improving that defense makes it easier on him. Finding some stars that you could fill in. I know DeForest Buckner was there. I'm not exactly sure if he is still there. He was really good. I haven't really heard his name much. Maybe that's because of injuries. Maybe that's because of the play going down a little bit. But overall, adding pieces to that defense, there's nothing wrong with having a good defense. I'm of the mindset that defense wins championships. So having a good defense, that makes it easier developing a quarterback, makes it easier on the offense as a whole. So I think that's important for the Colts, and I think that would help them a lot tremendously going into next season. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars' previous record was 4-13. Not too good. I'm not exactly sure why. I know Trevor Lawrence had injuries, and that kind of set them back a little bit. But overall, this is honestly a good roster, So we'll talk about that here in a minute. Available caps, $38 million, 16th most in the NFL. Number one thing they need to do, re-sign Brandon Scherff. That's important to the offense. I believe he's the best offensive lineman on that team. Probably couldn't name another one on that offensive line. So that's important, bringing him back. He's a big piece to what you do there. You got two good running backs. You got a good receiver in Brian Thomas. You want to protect Trevor Lawrence. So important to bring him back. That makes it easier to get the ball out and run the ball. Number two thing is going to be sign/draft offensive lineman. Reason I'm saying this is because Scherff's good, but like I said, I couldn't name another guy on the offensive line. So bringing in other people to improve that offensive line makes it easier on Trevor Lawrence. The run game gives him more time to throw the ball. So that's important for the offense. Bringing in another guy to pair up with Scherff would definitely help this offense, in my opinion. Number three thing is going to be improve the defense, whether it's through the draft or free agency. They drafted Trayvon Walker a couple years ago, I believe it was. They passed on Aiden Hutchinson. I think if we went back and looked at it today, the Jags are probably 100% going with Aiden Hutchinson over Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker just hasn't really lived up to the first overall hype that he had when he got drafted. So, really, they could use a lot of things here. I believe the safety, Andre Sisco, is a free agent, so that's going to be big, finding a guy to replace him or bringing him back. They could use another corner on the other side of the field to opposite Tyson Campbell. They could use some defensive line help. So there's a lot of ways that the defense could be improved. I think it'll be big, and it'll help out the team a lot if they do go ahead and improve the defense. But based on what I was saying at the beginning, the Jags got a good roster. I'm not sure why they're struggling. Maybe it was the head coach. I believe they moved off of Doug Peterson. So that might be right, might be good. I don't know exactly. But, you got Trevor Lawrence. Brian Thomas was a stud. You got Tank Bigsby on the offensive side. Evan Ingram catching the ball. So they got pieces. They just really kind of got to put it together and play well. Next up, the Houston Texans. Previous record was 10-7. So the Texans, they were good. They were the playoff team out of this division. Don't got a lot of money to work with, only $4 million. That's the 24th most. And based on some of these things that I have listed, you're going to have to free up some more money, whether it's restructures, cuts, trades, things like that. Number one thing that you want to try to do is probably bring back Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs played really well when he was healthy, did have an injury later in the season, but I think Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell, when they're healthy, could be a really good receiving core. Didn't really get to see much of that because they all had their own injuries at different points in the season. That was the main thing with the Texans. They had a lot of injuries. So if you stay healthy, you work on that, try to bring back a similar roster, if not the same roster, I think we maybe see a better and a different outcome for the Houston Texans. Number two is improve/add offensive line depth. So, if you want to improve your offensive line, that's important. Never wrong with improving an offensive line. Want to protect your franchise guy, especially a young guy like Stroud, who's not really mobile. And you got a good running back in Joe Mixon, so that could be beneficial to them as well. Improving the offensive line depth. You got a lot of injuries, so they had a lot of injuries. And offensive linemen, in my opinion, are most likely to go down. They're getting hit every play, so there's nothing wrong with having offensive line depth. You could always trade offensive line depth if you think you have too much of it. So improving the offensive line, adding offensive line depth, pretty important for the Houston Texans to do, especially because they have their franchise guy. You want to protect him. Number three is get Stroud back to his rookie form. There's no doubt that Stroud, he had a rough year last year. It wasn't really bad, I mean, he was still okay, just definitely not at the level of his rookie season. So getting him back to that rookie season form is going to be important. And now maybe you could say it was the injuries. The offensive line needs improved. It was the offensive coordinator. There's a lot of things you could say. I don't care about any of that. I just know that when Stroud's playing like he did at his rookie season, the Texans are playing their best football. So getting back to that, whatever it is, staying healthy, finding a new OC, improving the offensive line, whatever you got to do, that is important. This offense is loaded. DeMeco Ryans is a good defensive-minded coach. They got a good start to the defense. So Texans, they really got no reason to be struggling. They got pieces. They just got to put it together and play similar to how the Jags, what they need to do. But that's the AFC South. So if you enjoyed, remember to leave a like and comment. We like to see that. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you think I was wrong about any of these takes, if you think I'm right about any of these takes, if there's any specific players you would like to see any of these teams target in free agency and the draft. But when it comes to this video, that's all we got. So if you enjoyed, please remember to like and sub for more Madden content, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.